there's actually two big drawdowns that jump out to me as both being the most painful and the ones that I learned the most from. Now, the first one was my first ever drawdown, you could say. This is when I first approached the market. This was back in, I want to say 1999. And this was, like, I had no idea about the market. I thought that you go and you buy stocks from a bank. So I just walked into my local bank and I asked them, hey, I want to buy some stocks. They're like, hey, kid, that's not for you. That's way too risky. What you want is this. And they showed me their mutual funds and that you could have a whole basket of stocks. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty smart. And they gave me some books, some prospectuses to flip through. And so I started going through it. 5 minutes go by, the manager walks by, he's like, hey kid, well, what are you looking at? Gave me this. They're like, nobody reads those. I'm like, oh, okay. So I start flipping through it and it's like, all right, well, what am I going to do? I'll buy a couple that this guy recommends and another one, right? It ends up being 2 stock funds and a bond fund. And so I hand my money over to them, and it's all I had at the time was $5,000. But I thought that I was being smart. These guys are professionals. They know what they're doing. They've got this long track record, and I'm going to be diversified. I'm going to hold long term, and I put it in. And within 6 months, I was up about 10%. I'm like, holy shit! Like I'm freaking genius for doing this, right? Like, how smart am I? Like, I would only get like maybe 1% a year in a savings account back then, but here's 10% in 6 months. I had no idea that there was even a dot-com bubble or what the NASDAQ even was. I just thought stocks equals money. I was in college. My studies started to get busier, and I just thought to myself, I don't need to look at the stocks or anything. Like, let me just focus on my studies. I've got the pros managing it for me anyway, right? So fast forward to graduation, 2002. And I go to the bank, I open up my account, I expect to see like maybe 10 grand in there, maybe 15. Yep. Go buy this Jeep Wrangler that I had my eye on at the time, or at least have like a nice down payment. There wasn't no 15 grand or 10 grand. There wasn't even the 5 grand that I put in there to start with. I was down to 4. And I'm like, what the hell happened? Pros managing money for me. They have their strategy. Loads of diversification, time on my side. What happened? And I learned some very hard lessons from that, right? Like, number one, you better do your own due diligence and understand, well, what moves the market, where you should put your money, like understand trends, those kinds of things. I also learned that nobody's going to give a damn about your money as much as you. Then from that point, like I was like, all right, I'm going to manage this myself, and that wasn't something that I came to immediately, right? Like that came like maybe 6 months or a year later, like after I was done crying my eyes out that I wasn't going to afford this graduation gift I wanted to get for myself. But it was some hard lessons that I learned the hard way from that, right? And after going through the pain of losing and having somebody else lose my money for me, then the big drawdown that I had later on actually came in 2010. Right, May 2010, we're going to go on our honeymoon. Right, I was trading silver at the time, and I got into silver. If you go back and look at the chart from back then, it was making this parabolic move, and I got in early, and I thought that I was a genius. Right, like I was up maybe about 70-80% of in that position, and I had a sizable position in my account too. That, like, fantastic, right? So go on my honeymoon and forgot the stop loss. I wasn't thinking. My mind was on the wedding and going to Hawaii and all these great and beautiful things. So I leave, and I come back, and that 70-80% gain, whatever it was down to less than 10, and it's just like, what the hell? Learn the hard way to double check your account, make sure that your stop losses are in, set some kind of a going away plan for your portfolio, and double, triple check those things if you're going to be any amount of time away from the market. And you should be checking those things frequently anyway, right? Like, make sure that your orders are in, that they're placed correctly, that have like those things are part of my daily routine now. Right? But some lessons you learn the hard way, or at least I learned many of the lessons that I've learned the hard way, and hopefully now you don't have to learn them the hard way.